What's up, fellas? Good morning. Welcome to the Prism Way Studios. We're here covering CGA, the 12 steps on Hope in 12.
Yep.
Today we'll be talking about step 3. And let's introduce ourselves. My name is Raymond Shepard, peer support specialist at the Prism Way. Right here is my brother Bobby.
My name is Bobby Kimbrough. I'm a peer support specialist / CGA facilitator right here, employed at the Prism Way.
Great facilitator too.
My name is Boanergez, and I'm also employed at the Prism Way as a peer support specialist and a co-facilitator for CGA.
Another great facilitator.
My name is Fred Griffin. I also work here as a peer support specialist. I'm a I also facilitate post-incarceration support group.
Another great man. We have great facilitators here.
Yeah.
We're just working these steps here, trying to show the importance of, how we work the steps inside, but also the importance of why we need to work the steps out here. And we just like to educate our audience on how to do that. All right, brother Bobby, what's step 3? Can you please explain step 3?
Okay, step 3 is made a decision to let go of my destructive self-will in exchange for spiritual principles, becoming willing to seek God's care and protection as we understood God. So with this step right here, I really had to look at my past. I really had to look at what my will was and looking at like, okay, I'm still open to if my will is destructive or not. But by the time I get to step 3, I should already know from step 1 that my will was destructive. But if not, I'm going to continue to just apply step 1 with reviewing my past, right? And seeing how did I end up in blues? How did I end up with a life sentence? How did I end up with so many victims? How did I end up hurt? Why I ain't from the gang no more? So understanding my past and how destructive it was and being honest, applying those principles, being honest. And this one right here, this principle, and this one is faith, right? In step 3. So with this faith, I'm gonna let go of my destructive self-will because I want this change. I done came to these CGA meetings and now I'm willing to give it all a chance, not just 1 step or 5 steps. I'm finna take each step and give it a chance. So we're giving this step right here a chance. I'm finna understand like what God's will is. But me personally, the journey that I've been on, I'm knowing what God's will is. How? Because my fellowshipping. Bless you.
Thank you,
My
Lord.
fellowshipping, my studying of the Bible, me going to church, me giving up, me serving something greater than myself. And in this, have I been successful in it? Yeah. So why not step out on faith and give God's will a chance? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So this is a hard step to anybody coming into a meeting because my higher power was the gang. My higher power was my peers and stuff. So to let go of something that's been my higher power for 34 years and to give my will up, it's like being naked out here in these streets of Los Angeles on 12th and Hope to be specific. But I'm giving this a chance because I'm tired. I'm broken. I done hit rock bottom.
Right.
So just that word God to me, oh yeah, he got nothing but good for me. So getting out my own way, I finna apply this step slowly but surely, understanding what his will is, asking Boanergez, asking Fred, these brothers that's spiritually strong in their faith.
Right.
What this scripture mean? What this mean? And understanding that, it's like, okay, each and every day I wake up, I got to give up my destructive self-will and die to the flesh and be born in the spirit again. Earlier today, Fred had to remind me. It's like holding me accountable for certain things. Like, bro, you this today. You know what I'm saying? You not that right there. And that's super appreciated because just like that, I'm like, snap right out of it. You know what I'm saying? So
That's the beauty, man. We got a great support network right here at the Prism Way, just it's built in our staff.
Yeah.
We're blessed to have that. Speaking of destructive self-will, Fred, what do you can you elaborate on that? What's that look like?
I feel like it's ego and pride. For me, coming to terms with my ego and being willing to set that aside and choose something bigger than myself. But for me, I had to first, my definition and my understanding of God had to change because I grew up hating God and blaming God for being abused or being neglected or being bullied. And so when I got into CGA and I started learning about these spiritual principles, which I call the characteristics of God, right? God is loving, God is caring, God is understanding, he's patient, all these things.
Right.
Then I started to like be more open to being trusting, because I didn't trust nobody, right? I was being abused by my family. And so for me, just putting my ego down because I thought I knew better. But like Bobby said, when I look at my life, on my best day, I was still hurting people. And if I wasn't hurting somebody else, I was hurting myself.
Right.
And so for me, I'm always constantly checking my ego to see, like, is this decision being made from a place of pride because that's destructive self-will?
Right.
Or is it being made from a place of faith? Like, am I considering how this is going to impact someone else? Kind of like ripple effect.
Right.
I think about the ripple effect of my actions because now today I have positive ripple effects. It ain't just negative.
Right. There's another element, spiritual principles. Boanergez, can you touch on that? What does that mean? What's that look like?
Man, spiritual principles look like to me is basically like having some type of morals, you know, some new morals, some new way of belief, some more positive ways of thinking, and having those type of actions that bring positive results. So spiritual principles is basically replacing all those old beliefs, like feeling like I can't, walk away from a fight, feeling like I have to prove myself to other individuals,
Right.
and replacing it with spiritual principles like peace, having self-control, knowing who I am, and understanding that God created me for something greater, something better, in order to, have self-control and bring peace into environments instead of bringing negativity and creating chaos in every environment that I step into.
Right.
So it's basically just the power of replacement. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good point. Like when I was working these steps inside, when I first look, I'm gonna talk about God for a second, right? One of the things that kept me from working the steps of AA, NA, CGA was the word God, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I was in conflict because I couldn't live the lifestyle I live and serve God. You know what I mean? It's a conflict.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it. Doesn't work. Doesn't feel good. A long time ago when I got arrested in 99, I was in isolation for 6 months. And I read the Bible twice, right? But I read it like a book without anybody. I was only basically understanding on my, I was only comprehending it to my own understanding.
Right.
And I noticed like I got real close to God and all that. And I made a lot of promises, right? So you get me out of this, God, I got, I'll serve. So after 6 months, they kicked me to the modules. And then slowly but surely, guess what happens? I go back to started dipping back into my old ways and forgetting about everything I just read. And that didn't sit well with me, right? And I felt like I was letting God down. And then sure enough, as soon as I hit law school reception, I'm right back in it. I'm doing everything that I said I wasn't gonna do no more. Obviously I got sayings, the life sayings. And so I didn't go to church. Bobby knows in Calipatra, it took me a long time to finally get there. And once I got in there, first Renee, shout out to Renee, he's one of our pastors. He was also incarcerated. He hit me with something, and I just broke down. Didn't want no one to see me crying or nothing. I was in the back. I was like, man. And something happened to me that day, right? And I said a prayer. I remember saying a prayer. I said, please bless me with knowledge and wisdom. And I'm here to serve. I give my will to you, which is in the step, because our will didn't work. But I noticed from that day that I said I give my will to you, everything changed.
Yeah.
Doors started opening, opportunities started coming, and I get a phone call like a week and a half later, and Mary was in charge of assignments and everything. They called me to the desk, and usually that phone call someone passed away or something, so I was dreading that. I walk into the podium, I'm like, what the hell? And it was her. She's like, hey Ray, you want a job? I'm like, yeah, because I didn't have a job as I was in L-Top, but I was already done. And she's all, the only thing is in the chapel. And I said, nah, I'll take it, And she's all, you're going to be the library clerk. And I had just asked God for knowledge and wisdom.
Right.
He stuck me in the library with all the
Yeah.
books. It had all the different religions in there, but you know, it's all God's wisdom in there. DVDs, TV, and also access to the chapel all day long. So I could attend any service I wanted to. I knew right away that was him, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So from that point, I was able to work the steps with God in mind, and then the steps made sense to me. You know what I mean? That's when they started really sinking in. And spiritual principles, like we were talking about, you know, like we had all those character defects. So like, remember we made our relapse plans, the antisocial one, all we did was flip them, you know?
Yeah.
All we did was take every spiritual every
Defect.
and practice the opposite.
For real.
And slowly but surely it becomes you, you know?
Yeah.
I feel like-
and also real quick, just like we thought our self-will was like that wisdom and that understanding that we gained growing up, all those belief systems. We thought we had the wisdom.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We thought we had the right wisdom
Right.
to get through life. You know what I'm saying? And you know, it just came to a point where it's like, hold on, this wisdom ain't working. You know what I'm saying? So you know, just want to add that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I agree. I feel like when you turn your will over, you become open-minded. And like as a gang member, I'm gonna speak for myself. I was closed-minded to anybody or anything that didn't line up with my beliefs.
Right.
So when I remember getting on my knees and praying and saying, God, I don't know if this is real, but if you will do the rest, I'll make the first step. And that was the day I chose to give my life to Christ. And that was me becoming open to other people's suggestions, because God had put people in my life all the time, but my ear wasn't open to it. And so when I hear you talk about going to services and like, you know, everybody, Boanergez, Bobby, all of us have that moment in our life where we became open to live in a different way. And it took time, right? Like, we're not saying you change overnight, but we are saying there is a different way for somebody who stood in the grip of the addiction and they're like, well, this is all I know, right? We all done had that saying, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is until you open up to something that isn't.
Right.
And so I just want to say that.
Yeah. Step 3 even talks about being willing. You got to have a willing heart, you know? So you got to be willing to the opportunity of change or even the thought of change. You got to be first have a willing heart, you know what I'm saying? To be able to take this step in, you know what I mean?
Something that a lot of people like go by, right, is care and protection as we understood God. That's what I've been leaning on. God's care and protection versus the care and protection of me, of him, of my gang. Anybody that support me, like, you know, that we used to go to and get a gun, go to and jump on people. That was my understanding of care and protection. But today, the blood of Christ is my care and protection. Forgiveness is care and protection. A lot of people don't understand that. Humility is care and protection. All of those spiritual principles is care and protection, right? But it also at the end, it say, as we understood God. So how do you understand God?
Right.
Is he merciful? Is he your guider? Is he your protector? Is he your provider? And man, it's all that for me, and that's all I need. All of that I thought I had in the game. All of that I thought I had in my path to self-destruction. So really seeing that and seeing what God got for me, that helped me like 100% embrace his will. Like, okay, so I'm winning. I've been winning, succeeding.
Right.
And I've been like,
And I've been watching it.
yeah,
I watch it through all of you.
When
so
the
I
darts come, when the hate, when the chances come to act ass, when the chances come to
Give up.
yeah,
For real. Or
that's when
react.
God's will kick in. You can continue on your path, but you can also let God's will be done in you, and it's been beautiful.
And for, you know, we've attended many groups, AA, NA, CGA. You know, people struggle with the word God sometimes, and sometimes it doesn't allow them to work the steps. But I'll never forget this one saying, right? This one guy came in, Angel, came from the streets. He was a former addict, but he was volunteering. He used to come in. He said, for any of you guys struggling with religion, I heard this saying and I want to share it with you guys. He said, religion is for those who don't want to go to hell, but spirituality is for those who've been to hell and don't want to go back.
Facts.
And right from that point on, I said, I'm spiritual. But in reality, when you serve God, you are spiritual. You're a spiritual being, right? And like everything you were talking about was the armor of God. You're protected, right? And so for those who struggle with religion and want to work the steps, you know, they used to say God stands for good orderly direction. No matter what, if you have that in mind and you're consciously taking positive steps, you are serving God. So either way it works out, you know. It just so happens that everybody in this room, we all found God and we all know what he's done for us.
Come on now.
You know what I mean? So Boanergez, let's move on. Let's say, how did you work the step inside prison when you were doing time?
Inside, I'll first have to take you through a little, like, quick little snapshot of my journey. Before I even came to prison and committed my crime to receive a life sentence, I was already selfish. I was violent. I was a gang member. I was, a criminal. All these things, these belief systems, the way I lived, the way I thought, led me to harming my community, harming individuals that was innocent, and harming my family, harming myself. And when I came, this is the lifestyle and the belief system I had coming into prison, and then I took that on into prison, and then I was getting the same results, and I was, still addicted to alcohol and doing all these things. I was still living the same lifestyle that led me to getting shot, led me to a life sentence in prison, and I continued in this lifestyle while I was in prison, and when it came to a point where, I had to review my past. And I had to understand, like, look at my actions and really, like, take that inventory and say, man, what's, like, my lifestyle is, like, unmanageable for real. Like, this ain't working for me. You know what I'm saying? And it's a blessing to be able to have that moment in your life to where you could come to that point where you can actually review your past and say, dang, I'm the problem and nobody else is. You know what I mean? Because some people could go 60, 70 years old and they still don't think there's nothing wrong with the way they live and the way they think, and they never take responsibility for their actions. And for me to have that season in my life where I can be there was a blessing for me. You know what I mean? I thank God for that. But the way I was able to use step 3 inside was through, like I said before, take a responsibility for my free will. You know what I mean? And that's a big thing. Like, I have responsibility to have that free will.
It's a gift, right?
Yeah, it's a gift. So, like, even though I changed, I could still go and get a cell phone. I could still go get off on a CO or something like that with my free will. You know what I'm saying? Just because I changed don't mean my free will is taken away from me.
Right.
It's still there. So when I was using step 3, I was basically being met with a lot of obstacles. And the obstacles was, like Bobby was saying, I was being challenged. I was being disrespected. I was being humiliated by certain individuals, and
probably even more so, right?
Yeah, because
once you started to change, right?
Yeah, for sure, because they see me as one person, and then now they see me as another person, which is the more positive, more humble, more patient, more self-controlled person. And they looked at it as a weakness because they see me walk away from a lot of stuff, and they kind of seen it, and they couldn't understand, like, how I got to that point where, I was so impulsive, and now it's like I think before I react. And they looked at it like, man, what's wrong with you, bro? Like, you're not the same. Basically, like, you don't think like us no more. You know what I mean? But step 3 is a process that it hurts. It's a hurtful process because you're so used to reacting in a certain type of way, and then when you replacing peace with, with violence, like, it's difficult. It's difficult because, your human nature is saying, man, you got to get back. at this person.
Mm-hmm.
But that spiritual principle is reminding you like, man, you a peaceful man now. You know what I'm saying? And that's not who you are anymore. So,
Yeah.
you know, that process is tough. You know what I'm saying?
That's actually harder than engaging in violence.
Yeah.
You know, walking away and keeping your humility and not responding. And so it's actually harder. People don't understand that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough, man. You know what I'm saying? But change is for the strong. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't, bro, everybody be changing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
If it was easy.
It's a good point.
You know what I mean? So really to walk away from a fight takes more strength than just getting off on somebody. You know what I'm saying? Step 3 even speaks about like, you know, taking that easy route. You know what I'm saying? We so used to taking the easy route, but now it's like we challenging our self-control, like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And those belief systems.
Man, I heard this saying that one who doesn't control his emotions controls nothing. You know?
Yeah,
like, that really hit home to me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, to manage your emotions is difficult.
Yeah.
I don't care what situation. I don't care if you're locked up or a free person. You're at work. You're in playing sports. It don't matter. When they pop up, if you don't have control of them, it's gonna be all bad. You know,
Man.
in some way, shape, or form, right?
Heck yeah.
What about you, Fred? When it comes to, you know, now that you're free, you're home, you've been experiencing all, you know, life, work, bills, raising a daughter, you know, family. What about you? How do you work that step now? Or is it even, or do we even need to work it anymore?
Definitely. You know, getting out of prison after spending so much time in there, the stress, paying bills, responsibilities, the fact that you don't have downtime, right? Like, you know, I didn't even realize how influential count time was. I knew I had an hour to myself. I knew I had, you know, at this certain time, everything's gonna close down. I only got to deal with one person. And so coming home, I felt like step 3, in order to fully practice step 3, you got to walk in a state of mindfulness, right? You have to be mindful of your destructive self-will and when it's trying to show up. And it's been important because I find myself checking my motives, because you can do the right things for the wrong reasons. And so since I've been home, I found myself saying yes to things for the wrong reasons and realizing I'm neglecting myself. I'm showing up for everybody else but me. Right. Or my daughter will call me and I'm saying yeah to everything and I'm hurting her because I'm not setting boundaries. Right. Like, and I didn't even realize it until I thought and I stepped back. I'm like, man, this is my self-will. Like, what would God do? Because God don't tell me yeah every time I pray. Right. I don't know what kind of God everybody else serve, but there's been times where God has said, no, not right now. And so if I'm supposed to be a vessel of God, then I'm supposed to interact with people the way God interacts with me. Right. There's times where God disciplines me. So I can't always turn a blind eye on my daughter do something. I got to have that talk with her. Right. And do it in a loving and merciful and graceful way, the same way God does it for me. And so I find I need the steps more since I've been home than I did in prison.
Right.
Because in prison, people, as much as they dislike change, they respected those who were serious about it and they respected boundaries. Because the addict in prison was like, man, hey, I ain't gonna judge you for living right. Don't judge me for living wrong. But out here, people are in active denial, right? They ain't living wrong. What you talking about? I ain't never got arrested. Oh yeah, I do taxes. Oh yeah, I do EBT schemes. And oh yeah, I do car schemes, but like I ain't never got arrested, so I ain't a bad person.
Victimless. They always say victimless crime, man.
So when you find yourself trying to establish boundaries, they're crossing your boundaries because they don't have their own. And so now here I am getting frustrated because
like that,
I'm
Bob?
used to people.
That's real.
Like for real, I'm used to when you say certain language, people be like, oh, my bad, bro. I ain't trying to, you know, hey, that's your space. Out here, people don't care. They don't care. And then I have to talk myself off the ledge because I know they don't care.
Yeah.
So don't take it personal. Right?
And
so,
that's hard to do, not taking something personal, man.
So my destructive self-will says he don't care about you. God's will says, remember when you was in that state and show that person grace. And so, you know, we have a saying around here, we say we graced out. because we walking in grace. Right? We're walking miracles right now.
Yeah.
And so
100%.
it's been extremely important because imposter syndrome, post-incarceration syndrome, fear of rejection, all of these things, insecurity, feeling less than, all these things have shown up since I've been home that I thought I had dealt with, but I had dealt with it within the environment in which I felt safe.
And it's the little residue we still got.
Absolutely. And so I'm constantly mindful. I mean, that was one of the conversations me and Bobby was having this morning. Like, we can handle it our way, but then we have to accept that we're going backwards. And we're not willing to do that. And it goes that willing word. We're not willing to do that.
Right.
So as long as God is in control, as long as Christ has died for my sins, I'm going to continue to be mindful, admit when I'm wrong, and be willing to get back up and keep going.
That's right. Yeah, it's like, that's why I asked the question in the last episode. We're talking about, do you still have those thoughts? Violence, whatever, murder, all that. All that stuff I don't know if it will ever go away. It gets quieter. It's definitely quieter now whenever I'm triggered.
Yeah.
But that's why it's important for us to keep working these steps. You know what I mean? Like you're talking about all the residue, man.
Let me share this with you, right?
Yeah.
In Galatians 5, it talks about the spirit lusting against the flesh and the flesh against the spirit, right? It's Apostle Paul speaking. He says, the spirit lusts against the flesh and the flesh against the spirit so that you do not do the things that you wish. Right. And I remember when I read that, I was tripping because I'm like, wait a minute. Are you saying that as a godly man, I'm still going to wish to do fleshly things? And that's exactly what he's saying. Because when I was in the world, I wanted to be a good person. I wanted to not be violent. I wanted to not be miserable. So now as a Christian, sometimes I want to go to the club. Sometimes I want to drink. Sometimes I want to smoke. And one of the biggest things or misconceptions within this community is that you think that once you changed, you're not going to have these impulses.
Yeah.
And so a lot of us suffer in silence. The tension builds and builds, and we have that one bad day. We call it in prison the perfect storm, right? Everything goes wrong on a wrong day, and here we go drinking again, smoking a drink, fighting again, or sometimes we committed our life crimes. And so I feel like it's important that we at the Prism Way, we're creating a space where people can talk about what you're going through. There's no judgment. We understand, we relate, but we also have coping skills to deal with it. But until we normalize the conversation, people are going to continue to feel like they have to be perfect.
Right.
Yeah.
We're not perfect.
No such thing,
For real.
man. No
And
such
then
thing.
you'll set positive goals for yourself. Like, I ain't going to react this way when this happens. You know what I'm saying? And then when it happens, you be ready to react the same way you just said you wasn't going to react. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it just shows you, your humanity, you know what I'm saying? And how we struggle, even as changed men, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
And a lot of times when we walk this thing out, we're looked at as, that it's nothing but perfection coming from us, you know what I'm saying? But really, there's no difference from the person that's committing crime and doing all these crazy things, you feel me? From us. We both share that same human nature to want to do wrong. You feel me? The only difference is that we're actually trying to go against, those norms of belief systems that we used to have. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So it's a daily battle. It's a daily fight. And like the word say, we got to die to ourselves daily. You know what I'm saying? And, that flesh ready to just snap at any time. You know what I'm saying? And it plays in your head like a broken record, like, get back at him, get back at him. You know what I'm saying? Get back at him. And you got to be able to overwhelm those thoughts with something positive.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't, man, those thoughts will overcome you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And they'll become an action. But it get heavy. It get heavy, but at the same time, it's a beautiful fight.
Come on now. It's worth
You know
it.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Before we close out, I just want to say in AA, NA, they talk about relapse all the time, right? The CGA, we're addicted to the lifestyle, right, Bob? Right? Our brother Bobby here and Boanergez, you guys shoot that at our group here, right? So a lot of times we relapse in our mind.
Mental relapse.
Mental relapses, man. Like,
Yeah.
you go over what you want to do so many times, but fortunately enough, we work these steps in there and manage to grasp these tools that it provides us with, and we're able to work through it before it actually becomes an action, And so I feel like at any given point, if we make one bad decision, we're right back to where we started from, you know. And I'm very grateful for those tools, and I'm grateful for the support that we got here, you know. And I just want to close out by saying that, you know, I love sitting here in this room with you guys and sharing wisdom that we have. I hope people can grasp what we're saying. We're right here on Hope in 12 for a reason. That's God given. This corner,
Yeah.
it couldn't have been any better. That's why we named the podcast Hope in 12th. You know, we're trying to give hope to the hopeless.
Straight up.
Because, you know, at one time we were hopeless and someone gave that to us, right?
Facts. Step
Yeah,
two.
they believe in us.
And the beauty of it, the 12th part is working the 12 steps of CGA. So, you know, we'll continue on this journey together with our audience and hopefully shed some light on how to work that and what CGA looks like. And I can't think of any better people to do it with you guys. So
So appreciate
thank you for
bro.
another episode. And
Thank you.
we'll close out with that. Love you guys, man.
Love you too, brother.
Yes,
Thank
sir. Love you, bro. Gone.
you. Amen.